Hello, Mr. Damo, if that is your real name. I've got a couple of questions that I'd like to ask you.
Okay.
There are no legal implications if you lie here.
Yeah.
It actually can be funnier if you do lie.
Yeah.
But just tell us what you
Go
feel
with the
comfortable
flow.
telling us.
Yeah.
okay?
Go with the flow.
So, first question. You've mentioned several times that you're interested in cryptocurrencies and other products.
Yeah.
I've got on file here, you're trying to register a startup called Damo Dollar. Explain to me, what is Damo Dollar?
Ooh. So the interesting thing is that was actually brought up by you. I actually started thinking about just goofing around, making a kala coin for like the sovereign nation of Hawaii and stuff like that. But then when Mr. Scott came to me and we approached me with this project, I was like, oh, it'd be great if we had a Damo Dollars, right? And then I started wondering, what would we do with this Damo Dollars? And then I realized it's all perception. And that's the beauty about NFTs, right? NFTs and all the blockchain stuff. The value of these non-physical currency is all perception. So then I started asking myself, well, how could we like have the students perceive these as some kind of value? And I was like, well, we could give it out as like, what is that called? Like a bonus or like a payoff if they come up with a correct answer. Maybe if a student was like good in my class for the day, I'll give them a Damo Dollar. And then it would be really fun to see it as a what is that called? As a cryptocurrency project experiment to see how Damo Dollars would what's that word? Not decimate. What is it? Disperse amongst the students, and see what would you guys do? What would you guys do to use to trade for it, right? For instance, if I gave you a Damo Dollar and you were the only one who had a Damo Dollar, what would entice you to trade that Damo Dollar away, right? Some people would say, oh, well, I'd love a lunch, right? Everyone loves food, right? So let's say if another student was like, oh, I'll go to McDonald's. If I get you French fries, will you give me the Damo Dollar, right? And then that's a perception now, right? It's at least, once that happens, it would be worth at least $3 because that's how much the student paid to get the French fries. So then I just thought it would be a really cool, interesting experiment to see how far this Damo Dollar would be valued by the end of the semester, right?
So as a unit of currency,
Yeah.
you're saying that the value of the Damo Dollar it's not going to be set by a higher body or any entity. You're just going to let the market decide what the value of the Damo Dollar is.
And then basically dispense it to students as they, like, I don't know how you guys were in elementary school, but when I was in elementary school, a lot of students, we would strive to be the teacher's pet, and all the teacher would have to do is give us a sticker, like a gold star sticker on a graph or something like that. So then I was thinking, well, instead of stickers, which are perceived to be something of value when you're like 5-6 years old, it'd be really fun at 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old phase of your life to see what you would do with a Damo Dollar. We wouldn't even have to call it a Damo Dollar, but you add a name to a particular thing and then all of a sudden the value goes up, right? But then again, whatever. Like, I'm not gonna say I'm like valued at any point, but you know what I'm saying though, right?
Yeah.
Like, it would be a cool experiment.
I get the idea that you're basically saying let the students decide what the cryptocurrency's value is. And
Which is basically how Bitcoin works. But instead of students, it's the whole world population, right? That determines if it's determines its actual value. By the way, did you see the news today? Bitcoin tumbled. Bitcoin and the whole crypto thing tumbled a little bit today.
Oh,
I
really?
gotta check that out. I haven't read the article yet.
Ooh, that's asking. There's a lot of complicated elements to cryptocurrencies. So I was wondering, how are you going to mint the Damo Dollar? How are you going to prevent inflation?
I don't know. I'm an engineer. I'm not an economist. All I know is that how a blockchain works. So then you gotta start asking yourself, well, who's gonna be mining these too, right? Like, because you need an actual computer backend to actually keep track of the ledger and the blockchain. And then I was thinking to myself, well, I could use my computer here in class, right? And then we wouldn't tell Mrs. Sahara about it, because that way what she doesn't know won't hurt her.
Well, there's actually a lot of computers in Mr. Cron's room. He has a lot of, because he's the computer science teacher.
Yeah.
And a lot of old computers, MacBooks, and like Macs and HPs with the towers.
Yeah.
Now we all use Chromebooks, so there's no need for us to use those or go to computer science to use those.
Oh
but
my God.
That technology still functions.
Yeah.
And that's easily like 20 computers right there. Now they're a bit older. They don't have...
So they're not as efficient.
Not as efficient.
But then who cares if we're not paying for the electricity,
if
right?
we're mining Damo dollar on school
property.
School property. That gets into some interesting legal questions, but
Yeah.
I'm sure with how rich you'll be from Damo dollar, you'll be able to
Well, I wouldn't be rich.
cover
I
your
think
legal funds.
you. Wait, what's the question again?
Well, I'm sure that, when you're all rich from Damo dollar, you'll be able to cover your legal funds.
Oh. Yeah. But then I'm a very humble person, or I strive to be a humble person. That's how I was taught to grow up from my parents. My only what is that called, expectations of Damo dollars would be just to have the students recognize, especially in my period classes, because they want to learn more about financial things, right? As you grow up, you need to learn how to work with your money and have your money work for you. And one student said, well, how about if we just invested in crypto coin or cryptocurrency? And it's too, I explained that it was too volatile, but then it would be really cool to explain the volatility of the cryptocurrency market if they actually own some, right? So then again, like, since the last time you and I talked about this stuff, in my head it's been cranking around, like, it would be really cool. One experiment would be to, like, just give everyone $5 Damo dollars, right, in my period class, and then see if anyone cares about the fact that they have $5 Damo dollars, like my old students, and then they might want to, like, own a piece of that action, right? And then that's when all the perception of how much that Damo dollar would cost. You know what I mean? You follow?
Yeah, I really understand that.
Yeah.
And you've mentioned volatility.
Yes.
So the volatility and perception, these kind of have been the themes. And I think something that really encapsulates that in the crypto market is digital art that is encrypted.
Yes.
So the idea of NFTs, non-fungible tokens, which don't have a physical counterpart, but they do have an internet value.
Correct.
So what are your thoughts on NFTs? Do you think that there will someday be a Damo NFT collection tied to Damo dollar?
Well, first of all, I really like NFTs. I grew up collecting player football cards, and I'm realizing that NFTs are basically digitizing these collectibles. It's really just a collectible hobby, right? Like, NFTs, just like when you guys get rich and start collecting things, you'll learn about artwork. Like, my sister is an artist and she collects artwork too. And my brother-in-law, who's her husband, he's starting to venture into the NFTs as well. I think it's really cool. I think it's a great way that the perception of the value is kind of tied into a particular physical thing. And then from what I understand, when he like, for instance, when you make a painting, you do a high scan of it, and then that high scan is then connected to the NFT. Is that right? Yeah. So then I think it's really cool. It's basically just moving into the 21st century of digital work, right? I honestly feel that cryptocurrency, although it might not be the end-all of end-alls in the future, it's definitely going to be part of the world bank and financial stuff. It will have its place, but I really don't think it's like something that we're going to be like millionaires within the next 2 years kind of thing. You catch what I'm saying?
Yeah, I really understand that. So, you're talking about NFTs, talking about how it's not necessarily the end, it's not necessarily the solution, and there are lots of things to continue working on, things to improve with the thing, and kind of what you want to do with this program, Damo Dollar or Damo NFTs, is inspire the next generation to look at these and encourage financial awareness.
Yes!
Responsibility.
Yes, that's exactly it. Dang it, Owen. Yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, not only is it something worth having, but it's also something worth using as a tool to teach, right? And especially nowadays, it's like financial responsibility. That's responsibleness. I think that's what the actual term is. And to teach financial responsibleness to kids like you, I wouldn't even call you kids, young adults like you folks. Like, that's important. And I think this new wave of blockchain technology would allow for tools to help you guys understand that. It's dangerous. I'm just put myself on the record. I'm personally scared of this cryptocurrency and how far it can go, and because of its volatility, how quickly people your age and slightly older are falling into these traps. For instance, as far as like not just blockchain influence, but just the digital financial world influencing you guys. For instance, Wallbet Streets, you guys know that? Or Wall Street Bets?
Wall Street Bets, yes.
Which is a subreddit, right? I've been watching Wall Street Bets for the past 3-4 years. I've been on Reddit for the past 3-4 years. But the thing is, it's like, it's so easy when you have access to people who don't know any better, and then they start pumping up stocks like AMC and what's the other one? GameStop. Purely because people said do it, and not actually the understanding of why you should do it. Like, what you need to take into account, like, what are the company's assets? What are the company's goals in the next 2, 10, 20 years? Who's the CEO at the time? What does that CEO think was going on? There's so many influences that should affect your choice to either buy or sell a particular stock. Not just someone on Reddit who you have no idea who that person is and says, I just dumped $5,000 into AMC, you should do the same. And not students, but young adults in general have been losing money over AMC and GameStop because of what's called FOMO, right? So in the end, just be wary of the digital world and who's talking to you on the digital world.
Yeah. So what you've described here is basically the interactions between preying on like young adult nostalgia, which really it's kind of an oxymoron. Why would people who are so young have nostalgia? But it really is a factor. Millennials and even older Gen Z are looking at GameStop. They're looking at AMC. They're looking at BlackBerry. They're looking at any of these corporations.
BlackBerry's did you know that BlackBerry they stopped making BlackBerries and stopped allowing not access but
operating systems.
Yeah. Like,
so,
all BlackBerry stopped working as of last week or 2 weeks.
But it's still publicly traded, and they're basically all of these things are being it's nostalgia. And you see pump and dump schemes.
Right.
So you see the idea of bad actors, people who know that there isn't a level of financial accountability and awareness. They'll go online, they'll say, fear of missing out, we're going to the moon. They memify it. They make it a pop culture thing.
Yes.
And they're taking away...
Which appeals to young adults the most.
And that's why it's important to have these discussions about cryptocurrency and about NFTs and things with young adults so they can seriously make appropriate financial decisions.
I should make my period class listen to this podcast.
And what we're getting into is basically the idea of stocks versus crypto coins. It's like, what is the next evolution of investment and how are young adults making financial decisions?
Yeah.
Because, for example, Facebook has actually been developing their cryptocurrency called Libra. And considering the dominance of Facebook as a all-encompassing entity, especially as they get into Oculus, we're going to see Facebook and other mega corporations working to make virtual worlds with virtual currencies and virtual everything.
Yeah.
So you see these mega corporations with a dominance in one sphere of influence. Facebook has a complete grasp on social interactions. You see, Facebook, Instagram, Messenger, and these things, almost everybody is on them. You have that fear of missing out.
Yeah.
To jump away, Fortnite is a video game.
Yes.
It's not the most popular video game. It's a popular video game, but what sets it apart is that it evolved from being...
it's popular enough that Mr. Damo played for a year.
Hey. It went from being just a game to much more than a game, where they implement all of these different creative modes
culture
and pop culture and the massive, every single conceivable media franchise having interactions with this company provides it with that almost Ready Player One, Oasis, be anyone you want to feeling.
Yeah, you can be anonymous and yet be recognized for something.
Recognized, exactly. Anonymity, yet recognition.
Yeah.
Not having your face on the internet, but having everyone know your name. And I think that this is a unique effect of globalization, where we see the world becoming increasingly linked and audiences get larger and larger. We had in earlier centuries a time when if you wanted everyone to know who you were, you stood on a literal box called a soapbox.
Yeah.
You put it in the town square, you'd yell whatever you wanted to.
Yeah.
And if you weren't chased away, you might have an audience of whoever was in town that day.
Correct.
Nowadays, if I get on my soapbox on the internet, on Reddit, on Twitter, on Instagram,
can reach
whatever.
Thousands.
And this effect, this magnification is happening so quickly that humans aren't evolved mentally to do this. And as children are experiencing this.
That's really good insight. Yeah, you're right. I think about that every so often, but I never had the chance to really put it in the words that you did so eloquently. But yeah, it totally makes sense because we as humans, it's new to us. The internet's we've been into the information age for almost 3 decades now, but we're still learning more new things, especially socially.
We're only a generation in, and it took for other technological developments like gunpowder or the printing press, the effects of them lasted for centuries, and they were still adapting them. And there was pushback for an exceedingly long time, but the rapid implementation across the world, you have kids in the Andes, right? They don't even have clean water, but if they go to school, they can get on the internet.
Yeah.
And that's something that's just mind-boggling and is kind of an outlier in history, the rapid acceleration. And you were wondering, with humanity going faster and faster and faster, what's the end result? Where are we going to get to?
It's scary. I tell you, especially from my point of view as a computer engineer, it's kind of scary. And I think that's why one of the reasons why I went into computer engineering is because of that. Like it's the new Wild West.
It's the new Wild West.
It's a new frontier, and everyone's scooping up land, digital land.
Digital land.
Did you know Snoop Dogg bought like millions of dollars of land in Metaverse, and then he turned around and sold all the land around his land went up in price. Yeah, it's stupid.
Complex real estate.
And and the thing is that all of this isn't new. All of this started 15 years ago with a computer game called Second Life. You ever heard of that?
Yep,
Second Life created the Metaverse before Metaverse even started.
That idea.
Yeah.
We've been talking about some very serious topics, and let's lighten it up before we end. I'm going to ask you, do you like bacon?
Yes, I like bacon.
Do you like video games?
I like video games.
I'm going to ask you a simple would you rather concerning those two factors. Would you rather have unlimited bacon, as much bacon as you want, any kind, but no more video games, none at all, no video games for the rest of your life, or unlimited games, as many games as you wanted, any kind, but no games?
Wait. So what you're asking me is, would I have all the bacon in the world and no video games, or would I have all the video games and no bacon in the world?
No, all the games in the world and no games.
No gangs?
Unlimited bacon and no games.
Yeah.
Or unlimited games and no games.
Unlimited video games but no games?
Yes.
What do you mean?
You'd have as many video games as you wanted, but you wouldn't have any games. It's a toughie. This has stumped some of the smartest guests we've had on.
Isn't this what Steam is? Like, I could have all the games on Steam, but if I don't have a computer to play it on, what's the point?
That's an interesting analogy. I've never seen that.
But am I getting close to the target?
Well, it's just a simple would you rather question. You don't have to overanalyze it.
Oh, okay. Well, seeing as how I'm overweight, I'd rather give up the bacon. But if it's only bacon, right? Like, I love pork, but I like bacon. I'm not as crazy about bacon as everyone else is. Just put it like that, because it has a lot of salt in it too.
So you would choose unlimited games and no games?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you all. This has been a post segment that is tangentially related to the Inept Inquiries podcast with Mr. Damo. See you.